Good evening. Now call the City of Cannon Falls City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 7th to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Duncan.
Here.
Gallops.
Here.
Holst.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
Schoblum.
Here.
And Mayor Robinson.
Here. All please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first City Council meeting for the second half of the year. At this time, the chair will take a motion, to approve the agenda minus the police supervisor under council business, which is being pulled for this evening.
So moved. I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Moves us on to item 5 this evening, public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the minutes, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to address the council under public input this evening? Seeing as there's no one that wishes to do that, we'll move on to item 6, which is public hearings. Be Resolution 2137, adopting assessments for the 2nd Street Southwest Street Improvement Project. And Ron?
Thank you. This process, of course, has been going on since last winter, since there was the water main break in 2nd Street Southwest. As you recall, as is stated in the memo, we had to break this project into 2 components. There was no sanitary sewer involved, fortunately, in this case. But the water main needed to be replaced. We had temporary service lines in the wintertime. It just wasn't a good situation. So we had to do that fairly quickly, and we could not go through the statutory, the 429 special assessment process. So in essence, the city council or city paid for the water main improvement in this area, but we had time enough before the street would be constructed after the water main was installed to do the street improvement and curb and gutter. So we were able to go through the 429 assessment. We've conducted each of the steps up until this point, and tonight is the adoption of the final assessment roll, which Greg Anderson has prepared and is inserted in your packet. And the council earlier decided that the assessment would be done on a per lot basis, which you see there. There are 9 assessable lots, and the amount of assessment was based on the 20% of the total cost of street, as based on our assessment policy, 20% of the cost of the street, 100% of the cost of the street, but 20% of that. And then curb and gutter had a different depreciation rate according to our schedule. So that was 19 years into it, so we did 19/20ths of the curb and gutter cost, because the last time the curb and gutter was installed was 19 years prior to this project. So there was still 1 year left that we did not assess or did not account for. So that's what you see in there. And so it was a total of $18,000 some odd dollars divided by 9 units, $2,000 and some $38 thereabouts.
So this time we will open the public hearing for discussion on the adoption of the resolution for the assessments of the 2nd Street Southwest Street improvements. Is there anyone wishing to address the council this evening during the public hearing for the assessments? Seeing as there is no one here wishing to address us under the public hearing, at this time we will close the public hearing, and the chair will take a motion to approve the resolution for the 2nd Street Southwest Improvement Project.
So moved.
I will second that.
Have a motion by Merle, a second by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get back to here. Okay, that moves us on to the consent agenda. Items on this area of the agenda may be adopted or they may be removed and placed on the business area of the agenda for discussion purposes before approving. For the folks at home, I'll read the consent agenda. Item A is the just and correct claims for the accounting period ending July the 2nd, 2015. Item B are the meeting minutes for the June 16th, 2015 City Council meeting. Item C is sale of the 2001 Chevrolet utility truck. Item D, approve payment to SEH for additional $900 for Trunk Highway 52 Highway Safety Assessment Report. Item E is approved calls for soil borings. Are there any items anybody wishes to bring down this evening? Seeing as there are none, Chair will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as approved, as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Merle, second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. That moves us on to item 8 this evening, council business. With the police supervisor hire being removed, we will make the resolution 2138, item A, ordering preparation of report on improvement for River Road water main request.
Not sure where I start with this, but as is noted again in the memo, the Public Works Commission has looked at this issue over the past quite a few months, if not even more than a year. But we did receive a request, an official letter from Carolee Stock related to the issues that she has trying to sell her house at at the 1014 River Road location. She has a well on her property that serves her property and the property on the City Hall side of her house. SEH provided estimates to install, and there's the septic system also, and she needs to replace her septic system in order to sell the home for the purchaser to get bank financing. So we looked at with Greg Anderson and the Public Works Commission about possibility of installing sanitary sewer. And maybe, Greg, you might want to give a little overview of the discussions on that as far as the water, the sewer, and the whole situation with the sealing of the well and so forth.
The council's familiar with the subject parcel just north of City Hall. The nearest sanitary sewer to those lots is in St. Clair Street, which is the county road up by Egg Partners, or there's a sanitary manhole that serves the City Hall and the Government Center directly out, straightly east of basically council chambers here on the other side of River Road. That flows under the tracks and east. The sewer up in St. Clair flows east also. Both of them are higher, if you will, than the house services, so it would have to be pumped either direction. We looked at 3 options. 2 options would be to go to the north and connect to the sewer main up in St. Clair. Those would serve both the two parcels directly north of the city property, plus the one at the corner. And as Ron mentioned, those costs, are $108,000 to $161,000. Just the biggest concern is we've got rock excavation. We'll have to put in a pump station and bring that sewer down and replace the road. The third option would be to put in a small pump station for the 2 houses, the stock parcel and the one to the south, and pump it south along the east side of River Road to this manhole. There again, not 100% sure we can do that. We're trying to avoid digging up River Road because it's in good shape, but that one we're guessing is probably about $85,000. So none of the 3 are a real attractive option as far as costs. And then it would be up to the council to decide how much, if any, is the city participation of those costs and how much would be the property owner's cost. We looked at the water. The well was brought up, as Ron mentioned. The shared well is also an issue for siting an on-site system on the stock parcel. There is water that comes down River Road. There's a hydrant a little bit north of the stock parcel on the east side of River Road. What we would look to do is review extending that water roughly 185 to 200 feet down, put a hydrant in and 2 water service stubs for the 2 houses that they would connect to and then could abandon the well. That could change the offset requirements for an on-site system on the property. Now, right now with the well and the river and the size of the parcel, nothing I don't think will fit on an on-site system. You take the well out of the occasion, now she's on city water. It's likely they'll be able to get an on-site system designed that would work there if the council were to allow them to install an on-site system versus hooking up to city sewer.
Doesn't our ordinance say, though, that once that system fails, it has to go to city sewer? And it says shall, it does no if, ands, or buts about it?
I believe it also talks about availability too, but you're right, it is, the city would have to
Doesn't
make
say
an
availability.
allowance for them to not hook up to city sewer.
I mean, if we start making, revisions for one, then we're gonna have to start making them for all, and, that nobody's gonna be on city sewer and water.
Well, the cost was a big factor because of the rock in getting the sewer, and, it was deemed, it's not the only place in town that still uses a septic, and we'd like to get away from that if it was more feasible, but
Well, I mean, that's why we have some money set aside. If we have to use part of that to get it done, we gotta get it done. I mean,
But it would be an excessive cost to the 2 properties in question, too. That's, if you're gonna, depending on which of those items you, 3 options talked about, anywhere from 85 to 160,000, even under the 429 process, that's pretty spendy for the homes.
should have been thought of when we did River Road to begin with.
I'm the property owner. My name is Carol Leastock, and I own the property at 1014 River Road. This was brought up many, many years ago to put city water and sewer, and the council declined at that time. So we've really had no options other than this. My question to Greg is, the $85,000 option that would come down this way, does that include sewer and water? Just
Nope,
sewer?
That's just the sewer cost.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
So is it my understanding, Ron, that what we're looking at doing here tonight is to get a feasibility report on both the water and sewer options, or just the water?
The request is just for the water tonight. But this had been at the Public Works Commission, I don't know how many times. but-
A lot of times.
So it's with the letter being submitted by Carol Lee, it was time to bring it to council level and, decide what to do with this. And I knew there was at least some interest in maybe extending the sanitary sewer. At whose cost, I guess we'd have to determine that, but
Okay, so the request is to do the water at this time. Is that correct?
that's correct.
The history behind this whole thing is they want to, if they cap the well, they can do a new sewer according to the county. The county said they would leave it up to us if we would allow a sewer system, a private sewer system. So this is why we're talking just hooking up the water, so that in capping her well, hooking her up to city water so that she can sell her property and put in a private septic.
Okay, I've got the county's land use directors here. Can we get a ruling from them on that, what they?
Good evening. I'm Lisa Haney, and I've got Jason Peterson with me. He is our sanitarian and well and septic expert here. we wrote a letter concerning this issue back in April of this year again, and our only concern was you've got those two properties right there. If we get water, that's addressing one of the issues, but there's still no guarantee that they're going to have space or going to be able to do a septic on that site. The property to the south of Miss Stock, when their system goes, the ordinance right now says that you have to have a compliance upon sale, meaning that your septic has to be in compliance before you can sell it, or you put money away in an escrow. That's got even a smaller parcel. So basically what we're just suggesting is that you take a long look at this area. If this is an area that you want to continue to have homes there, you might want to take a longer view on this. Then, because when they come back in, the people to the south, if their system fails, when their system fails, they're going to be back in front of you again asking for a variance, and actually it's really going to be difficult for them to place it on their site. So that's why we're asking just to take a long look at it, see if the septic is an option down in that area or not. But yes, having the water, the city water that's, fairly close to the property, that will solve part of the problem if a septic can be sited on the sites.
Okay, so the septic, does each one of the houses have their own septic, or is the septic shared right there?
The
Each
well
one
is
has their
shared.
own. It's the well that's shared.
Right.
Each house has an
Okay.
independent septic system.
So you're saying even if the well gets capped now, she might not have enough room on her property, or she does?
They'll have to design it, and they'll have to see if they've got enough room for the whole system. So, and she's got, from my understanding, she's got a bigger parcel than the person to the south of them, south of her.
Well, we were certainly led to believe in our public works meetings that supposedly from the county that she would be able to do that if she got rid of the shared well.
Yeah, that was my understanding
Yeah.
too.
And
Well-
now I'm hearing something different now.
We sent a letter to the city and said that, talked about the water being the issue because they have the well and not meeting those setbacks. But we did point it out that, currently there's 3 individual parcels on that road. We've reviewed our files. Only one of the parcels has a permit, an SSTS, a septic permit, which is over 20 years old, or near 20 years old, meaning they're very old, and they're going to be having to be replaced. And so, that's part of our new ordinance. And also, we talked about, let's see, city's not going to require the River Road residents to hook up to the utilities. They'll need to provide variances for the residents and make part of the information submitted to the Board of Adjustment for the variances. There's a lot of things to go on if they need to get variances. Just because she has the water there, nobody's done a design yet because they weren't able to because they didn't know what the setbacks were going to be if that well existed. So right now, there's really no design. So if she gets a contractor that can fit one in there and meet all the requirements without, I don't know if there's any variances to any of that, but it's still iffy. I guess that's why we were thinking if you took a longer look and got a feasibility study for the sewer too, if you wish to continue to have homes and that kind of thing in that area. Because otherwise, we're going to be back in front of you again when the next guy's system fails. So.
What I'm hearing is you seem to be of the opinion that maybe there shouldn't be homes back there.
No, I didn't say that. I just said the city should take a long look at that, and if they're going to do that, they basically got 2 choices. If they're going to keep homes there, they're going to have to take a long look because every one of these residents is going to come in for variance because they're not going to be able to satisfy the setbacks and stuff for septics. Miss Lee might, but I don't know about the others. So that's kind of the longer view of that road.
Right, but then you're asking Carol Lee to basically take a crapshoot on, if we put the water in, she might be able to do a septic or she might not be able to. That's not a good basis for a decision for her to help sell her home, and putting in, the sanitary sewer, while nice, is going to be pretty costly for the 2 homeowners because
Yeah.
there's only the 2 homes there.
Yeah, and I don't know what your schedule is for assessments. I don't know. I'm not even bringing that part up. I know that's part of the consideration. But again, looking long-term at that, you're gonna have these other homeowners come in for variances too, and they might have a harder time getting a septic in there. So,
If and when their septic fails.
or they sell the house and it doesn't
Well,
meet compliance.
Ron?
I might make a suggestion in light of this little bit information, in that the feasibility report could still be ordered, but to include the sanitary sewer, then you can later, during that process, have the discussion about how much should be assessed, whether any, all, none, whatever, should be assessed in both water and sewer. And go
Well, I
from
think
there.
that
But then
was-
you'll have all the information. Greg's got a lot of it put together anyway, but he'd have to put it in a formal feasibility report format. But
well, I think it's safe to say for at least Merle and I, had we known this in Public Works many months or a year ago, we could already be well past this if our information from the county seemed to have been slightly faulty. So I'm a little disappointed.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily from the county or from the contractor that said, because it seems to me that Carol Lee had a couple contractors that said, if you cap the well, I can guarantee we can put a sewer system in there.
Right. But I think what she's saying is that, looking at the longer term, if the other property
And we
goes
did-
bad,
We did look at that, because I was saying, what about the house up on the end too? There's a third property up there that isn't hooked up to city water and sewer. And if we gotta go that way, then we do all three of them
Oh,
for
yeah.
city water and sewer.
What about the business over there? Are they connected to sewer and water?
They should be in St. Clair Street, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
you mean Ag Partners?
yeah.
Ag
Yeah,
Partners?
they're hooked up.
And then the one on the corner there is not?
Right,
Right.
because we did talk about that.
Yeah, we
You
did.
know, that hook, to go north and hook them all up to city
The
water
same-
and sewer.
We're just trying to forewarn you of what the next
Right.
properties might have in front of you in a matter of time.
Yeah, and if the property next door has a septic system that's similar in age to Carol Lee's, then it's subject to fail,
It might not meet the compliance inspection requirements.
right?
So I think perhaps maybe even expanding on what I suggested is that we should probably have resolution for you for the next meeting that includes sanitary, water, and then perhaps an expanded area.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, I mean, I think, we got to look at the long-term process of this. I mean, if they can put a system in there that will last 20 years, then 20 years from now, we won't be on the council, I don't think. But,
do we want to include the street too, as long as we're going the rest
Well,
of the way?
You mean doing a full regular street like we have up
Yeah,
to the...
because we stopped just up here when we did this, because,
Right, because it wasn't wanted at
Right.
that time up the street.
could we even, as we're getting ready to start looking at the West Side 2 project, could we maybe include all of that into one big project? Because, by this time, at this point, it's going to be hard to get all that stuff done before the end of the year anyway.
yeah.
So, if we could include it in that, then it might be more feasible for everybody all the way around.
That probably makes some sense, because even with the process initiated tonight, even if there would have been a resolution approved just for the water, we would have been looking at awarding bids on the October 6th council meeting. So even after that, and then they've got 30 days to enter into a contract, so that would have been really pushing it also.
Yeah, before the November freezes start coming in and stuff. We're really pushing it at that point, but that might be a better option to look at long range and maybe include it in as we start looking at the West Side 2 project for this next spring. So should we, at this time, go ahead and table this until the next meeting? Carolyn?
Say one more thing. I want to thank particularly the Public Works people and Ron and Dave and Greg and Tom who've been so helpful through this, and it's a mess, but I'm
I
hoping
feel
we'll,
bad for you.
well,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it
And we,
something
you know,
gets settled soon.
and we appreciate your patience. I mean, because I know they get wore thin, I mean, when those processes go on, but I mean, I think we need to look at doing it the right way, so it'll be good for you and good for everybody at the same time.
Okay, well, keep me posted. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Thanks, Carolee.
I think that's the best way to do it, though, then, is just
Yeah, look at doing the whole thing.
doing the whole thing, and then we've got all our bases covered up there.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about doing it in,
One more thing, Mr. Mayor, you alluded to funds available for the city, some city participation in this process?
Yeah, there may be, and we'll see what we can do. I'll have to look at the whole process. That's what we're going to look at doing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, we will move on to reports, or we tabled it? Do we need a motion to table it at this time?
Well, I'll second a motion to table.
Okay, we've got a motion by Merle and a second by Bill to table the water and sewer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Moves us on to reports. Mr. Maroney.
Just got one, that is that the planning commission will not be meeting next Monday night at 6:30. He's got
Tom?
I'd just like to ask the public's help. We've had kind of a spree now of people dumping off couches, whatnot, on people's boulevards, as well as the dump. So I would like to, if the public could help us assist, if they see something like that going on, get a license number, call Jeff, let him know what's going on. We get the call from the homeowner, they say there's a couch on my boulevard and it's not mine. So I'd like to stop that quite quickly if we could.
How's the diaper and rag situation in the sewer plant? Getting any better?
Flushable wipes will be an issue as long as they sell them. You know, I say most people, out of sight is out of mind. As it goes through my toilet, I don't care where it goes. So I don't know if that's ever going to be solved until some of these cities start taking on the providers of these and the makers of these baby wipes.
Okay, thanks.
maybe we could send them a bill.
Relative to the issue Tom raised on the dumping of furniture, license plates are helpful. Really what would be helpful is if you see somebody unloading a couch, a chair, or anything onto a boulevard or some area where, dumping is what they're doing, 911. Please call 911. It's going to give you a dispatcher immediately. They can get an officer started there. We would much rather get in the area, locate the person as they're driving away or still in the process, and be able to charge them and take care of it all that night, which is probably also going to include making them load it back up, rather than the city incurring the expense of that disposal. So please, 911.
Yep.
The other thing is, I heard Dave mention that his Monday evening is freeing up, which is probably a good thing. Is the Art and Wine Fest this weekend? No, one week after.
The following.
Following weekend.
Oh, I was going to say Dave could spend the whole weekend having wine then and looking at art, but that still frees up for Dave. But the Art and Wine Fest is coming up. I was talking with Keith Smiley today. Apologize, I couldn't remember the exact date. I'm still recovering from a week of fair and fun activities. But that'll be coming up. It shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience for any of our residents. They will have some reduced traffic flow on 8th and 9th Street from the pool to Egg Partners because of the pedestrians crossing and stuff, but it won't be closed or anything. It'll just be, one lane of traffic or narrower lanes from what it sounded like. So, for people that are using that route on a regular basis, just bear that in mind. You've seen it before with that event, and it shouldn't be much of a problem. Look forward to the influx of people coming to Cannon Falls, much like we did for the parade and for the fair. bringing people to our fine community and letting them see what we have to offer is always a good thing. That's all I have.
Ron?
I have nothing.
Merle?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm good.
And I have nothing. At this time, the chair will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.